Alright, so I've had this AtGames Legends BitLCD Marquee for about a year now, like everyone else, mounted on top of my AtGames Legends Ultimate 1.1 cabinet, and within the last couple weeks, all of a sudden the Marquee just wouldn't power on anymore. I had updated already to the latest BitLCD X firmware for this particular application a while ago, and even when I did the update, the Marquee was working, but for some reason the last week or two, the Marquee just won't display anything. And to add to the mystery, I noticed that on the USB that I have plugged into this USB port via this extension cable, you'll notice that the blue light is on. The arcade machine's powered on. You can see the monitor's on. The Marquee is not displaying anything, but it is getting some sort of form of power through the device, through that USB port. So what's going on here, man? It's receiving power. Now, I went through a whole bunch of troubleshooting steps myself, and of course the purpose of making videos like these is to add value to you folks out there in the community. If one of you happens to go through the same experience as me, hopefully my resolution here will help you, which is why I do what I do. So taking a peek here, I had to go ahead and unplug the cabinet. I had checked all the connections previously, opened up the inside of the cabinet, checked all the connections, checked all the wires, made sure everything was plugged in appropriately. And it was. Nothing looked damaged, burnt, nothing looked crazy, nothing looked loose, so the connections to the Marquee look pretty solid. So we don't have a power or a connection issue, we just have some kind of issue where there's no data going to the Marquee for it to display anything. Inside of the arcade cabinet is this little USB hub. If you guys remember, if you bought your AtGames Legends BitLCD, this is the USB hub that came with it. And it's a pretty cheap piece of crap USB hub. I remember hearing in the past some people on Facebook and stuff saying that their hubs went out. I figured, hey, maybe that's the problem here. Maybe it's simply just my USB hub. So of course I hopped over to Amazon and I grabbed a powered USB hub. That's right, that way this thing isn't draining on the arcade cabinet system, kind of like the original BitLCD and the non-powered USB hub that they provide with the BitLCD Marquee. So I grabbed one of these off Amazon. I have a link for them in the video description below. They're very cheap and it should work. Has its own power supply as well as its own cable connector that we're gonna plug in. Let's do the swap and fingers crossed. Swapping this out is super simple. All you have to do is remove the USB cables that you already have plugged in. There should be two of them, one that comes down from the Marquee and one that comes from your control panel. Then unplug this from the actual PCB board, which is that black case on the right beneath the monitor. Get that unplugged, grab your new one, go ahead and just plug in your two USB cables into any of the two ports. I just went with the first two ports, port 1 and port 2. Easy peasy, doesn't matter, you can spread them out. And then I took this cable and I plugged it into the USB port that's on the PCB board. Again, this is a very easy swap, but sometimes you got to show this stuff. That way everyone has an opportunity to see what's happening and do this themselves. Now we're going to grab that AC adapter that came with this power USB hub. We're going to plug it into the wall, put everything together, and turn this thing back on and see what happens. And sure enough, when I powered on the arcade machine after, because there's about 15-20 seconds before the Marquee powers on after the screen starts powering on, sure enough, it powered back on, baby! We're back in business, we're back up and running, and the BitLCD is working beautifully. Now, trust me, I'm a little annoyed because this particular BitLCD Marquee paid for out of my own pocket. This thing cost me like $300 like all of you, things like that, and AtGames, come on, man. If you're going to provide accessories for these high-end valued products, we should get better USB hubs with these things. This thing didn't even last a year before it burnt out on me. But this little bugger was the culprit right here, so if any of you happen to go through this same experience as me, where you don't see anything on your BitLCD Marquee, try replacing the USB hub that came with the Marquee, and I recommend going with a powered USB hub. That way you're not draining resources from the system itself trying to run it. Hopefully this video helped some of you. Hopefully you found it interesting. If you did, give me your comments, feedback, reactions below. Give us a thumbs up on the way out. And as always, my dudes, thank you for subscribing.